In this video, we'll add a working score system where our points increase based on which collectibles we pick up. In the last video, we created animated collectibles which the player can pick up, but nothing actually happens when we pick the collectibles up. We would like to show a score in the top left corner of the screen, which increases each time the player picks up a collectible. So to do that, the first thing we're going to do is to add a UI system. We're going to right-click in the hierarchy, go to UI Canvas, and create a canvas. This also by default creates an event system, which is used to handle buttons when we add that to a menu later on. So for now, just ignore the event system, and I will rename the canvas to UI. In the UI canvas object, I will right-click on it, go back to UI, and click this button which says TextMeshPro. This will be our points text, and if we go to our UI object and press F to frame it, you can see we have a much larger screen here, and in the bottom left corner, this is actually where our level is placed. So the canvas object is much larger than our actual game scene. You can see here we have our text element placed in the middle, and in the game view screen, you can also see the text element here. I will go to my points text game object and click this icon, which kind of looks like a crosshair. This can be used to anchor the text to certain spots in the screen, and I would like mine at the top left corner, but I would also like to pivot it and set the position. So I will hold down left shift and alt and click this top left corner icon. That will place our text in the top left corner of the screen. I would also like to increase the font size a bit. I think around 80 would do nicely. And I won't spend too much time on editing the font, but I will change my font style to bold. I also want my score to be on one line, so I will go to the rect transform component of our text object, and I will increase the width to about 450, and I will also increase the height to about 100. Now I will go to my text input component and change the text to say points, space 0. But when we play our game, nothing currently happens when we collect pickups. So in my script folder, I will right-click and create a new mono behavior script, which I will call Points Manager. This script will handle adding points and updating our UI accordingly. So I will double-click to open up my script. I will use the start and update methods at a later point, but for now I will delete them to make this more readable. And before we can use our TMPro text, we need to import it into our script. So I will type using TMPro. First off, we will need a serialized field, which will be a private of the type TMP text, and I will name it points text. We will also need a private int points, and we will by default set this to 0. This points text variable will handle updating our UI, and this points variable is used to store the amount of points we've collected. I will then use the start method, and in here I will set our points text to be equal to points spacing plus our points variable. So right from the beginning when we start our game, this text element will be set to points and whatever amount of points we have. We also need a method to increase our points, so I will create a new method, public void increase points. And for this method, we will need a parameter, which will be of the type int, and I will name it amount. In our method body, we will need to add the amount to our points. So I will type points plus equals amount. We also need to change the points text UI accordingly. So I will type points text to be equal to points, spacing, plus points, just as we did in the start method. Now that script is finished, so I will save it. And in our UI game object, I will add our new points manager script. It will need a field of the type TMP text, so therefore we will add our text element. Now we can update our points correctly, but we still need a way to collect these points. So let's just have a think about when do we actually need to increase our points? Well, we want to do this whenever we gather a collectible. Therefore, I want to go to my collectible script, and this is also the reason why we made this method public, so that we can use it in other scripts. If you remember from the last video, we have different collectibles. So far we have a banana and we have a cherry. We don't necessarily want these to get the same amount of points, as then it wouldn't make sense to have different collectibles. So therefore we need a way to assign individual amount of points to each prefab. We will do that in our collectible script by creating a new serialized field, and this will be a private integer, which I will name points to add. And then when our player collides with a collectible, we want to add points. But how do we do that using the points manager script? What we could do is that we can instantiate a new instance of the points manager. However, that would be pretty bad practice. What we'll do instead is that we'll make this points manager a singleton. A singleton is a design pattern where you make sure that a class only has one instance and that you can access it from anywhere in your code. Think of it like this. We only want one points manager in our game, and we want everything for for instance, the player and the collectibles and the UI to easily talk to that same points manager. The way that we turn our points manager into a singleton is by creating a public static field, which will be of the type points manager, and we will name it instance with a capital I since it's a public field. Then we want to use the awake method, and inside our awake method, we want to say if the instance, so the points manager, is currently null. So if it does not currently exist, then we want to set our instance to this. Else, we want to destroy the game object. So in short, if the points manager does not exist, then we create it. If it already exists, then we destroy the new instance of points manager that the game is trying to create, which ensures that we only have one instance of our points manager at any given time. We will save the script, and now in our collectible script to add points, we can simply just type pointsManager.instance.increasePoints, so the name of our method, and that takes in the amount parameter that we've also created in our points manager script. How many points do we want to add? Well, we want to add points to add. Let's save the script. And now back in the Unity editor, if we go to our banana prefab, you can see here on the collectible script component, we can specify how many points we would like to add when gathering this collectible. So let's just say that the banana gives 10 points and the cherry gives 20 points. Now when we play our game, we currently have 0 points, but when we collect the cherry, we get 20 points, and when we collect the banana, we get 10 points. Well done on this video. We now have a working score system and individual collectibles, which give specific points depending on the type of collectible it is. In the next video, we'll add a cinemachine camera so we can start following the player around and explore the level. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.